Ever wondered if you could be holding a small fortune without even knowing it? Imagine, just a tiny dime, something you might drop on the floor and not bother picking up, turning out to be worth more than a brand new luxury car. Sounds unreal, right? Well, get ready, because today's number one coin is exactly that. It's small, it's shiny, and it's hiding in plain sight. The 1981 Roosevelt dime, a 10-cent piece that can be worth an unbelievable $76,000. Before you shake your head and say, how can a dime be worth that much, let's break it down. The Roosevelt dime, the one we use every day, has been around since 1946. It honors Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who led the country through the Great Depression and World War II. His portrait has remained almost unchanged for decades, and the design is one of the most recognizable in American coinage. But here's where things get interesting. Even though hundreds of millions of these coins have been minted over the years, some carry small differences that completely change their destiny. The Denver Mint, in 1981, was busy. The U.S. economy was shifting, inflation was high, and the demand for coins was massive. To meet that demand, the Denver Mint struck over 746 million dimes that year. With numbers that big, you'd think every dime is identical. But somewhere in that ocean of coins, a few slipped through the cracks. A few dimes came out different, sharper, cleaner, and with an error so rare that it would take decades before anyone realized what they were looking at. The 1981 Roosevelt dime proves that rarity doesn't always come from age, it comes from perfection, precision, and in this case, a minting mistake. Experts believe that a very small batch of dimes was struck using a die meant for proof coins, the special, high-quality coins made for collectors. Somehow, one of those proof dies found its way into Denver's regular production line, and that tiny mix-up created one of the rarest modern dimes in U.S. history. To the naked eye, it looks like any other dime. But under magnification, everything changes. The details on Roosevelt's hair are crisper. The lettering is sharper. The edges appear more defined. Even the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse have a distinct clarity that regular coins just don't have. Collectors describe it as having that proof-like strike, that mirror-like surface and deep frost contrast that shouldn't exist on a regular 1981 circulation dime. And here's the fascinating part, nobody at the mint noticed at the time. These coins quietly entered circulation, mixed in with millions of others, passing from hand to hand completely unnoticed. For decades, people spent them on snacks, gas, and groceries, never realizing they were handling something incredibly valuable. It wasn't until coin collectors started closely studying die varieties that the truth finally came out. Even if you happen to find one of these ultra-rare coins, its true value depends on how well it's been preserved. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70. A coin rated 70 is absolute perfection, not a single scratch or flaw. Most coins we use daily fall somewhere between grades 20 and 60. But this 1981 dime that broke records? It was graded MS 68, nearly perfect, with stunning luster and razor-sharp details that impressed even veteran collectors. The rarity of a coin like this isn't just about how many were made, it's about how many survived in flawless condition. Out of hundreds of millions struck, only a few might have been produced with that special die. Most ended up in circulation, spent, scratched, and worn down. Finding one today in mint condition is almost impossible. That's what makes it legendary. When this dime finally surfaced, it stunned the collecting world. A modern dime from the 1980s, not ancient, not silver, selling for more than most gold coins. It changed what collectors thought was possible. Auction houses saw intense bidding wars, and when the hammer finally fell, the winning price was an incredible $76,000. A 10-cent coin had just made history. So, how can you tell if you have one? Look for the mint mark, a small D next to Roosevelt's neck. That tells you it was minted in Denver. Then check the coin's surface carefully. A valuable 1981 dime will have a strong, clean strike, with frosted details and mirror-like fields. The lettering should look crisp, especially around "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." The torch on the reverse should show fine, distinct lines with no flattening. And most importantly, it should still have its original shine, that brilliant luster untouched by circulation. And here's something to think about: many collectors have searched their entire lives for a coin like this and never found one. Yet, every great discovery starts the same way, with someone deciding to take a closer look. You might be that someone. The next time you grab a handful of change, you could be holding history, waiting to be recognized. Most 1981 D dimes are worth just 10 cents, but that's the thrill of coin hunting. You never know when you'll stumble upon the one that's different, the coin that escaped damage and time, waiting quietly to be discovered. Imagine the feeling of realizing that something so small, so ordinary, could be your ticket to something extraordinary. The 1981 D Roosevelt dime reminds us that sometimes, treasure isn't buried, it's sitting in your pocket. And that dime, the 1981 D Roosevelt dime, has been valued at an astonishing $76,000. The next coin on our list is one that proves mistakes can turn into masterpieces. It's the 1990 D1 dime, a coin that looks ordinary until you take a closer look and realize it's anything but. This isn't just another Roosevelt dime, it's one of the most mysterious and valuable mint errors ever to leave the Denver Mint. At first glance, it seems completely normal. You see Roosevelt's profile, the familiar torch and branches on the back, and that tiny D mint mark near the neckline. But the story behind this particular coin is one that even seasoned collectors didn't see coming. Because this dime isn't rare for its design, it's rare because of what went wrong during its creation. In 1990, something unusual happened at the Denver Mint. During a routine production run, a batch of planchets, the blank metal discs used to make coins, were accidentally fed into the presses without being properly stamped. That means they skipped the crucial step of having the design struck on them. What came out were smooth, almost featureless pieces of metal. But among that batch, a few were only partially struck, showing faint traces of the design, including the bold words, "1 dime," on the reverse, while the rest of the coin remained blank and unmarked. Collectors call it the 1990 D1 dime error, and it quickly became one of the most sought-after modern minting mistakes ever found. Imagine flipping over what looks like a blank silver disc and suddenly spotting those two perfect words, "1 dime," standing out sharply against an otherwise empty surface. It's eerie, beautiful, and completely unique. It's the kind of coin that instantly captures attention because it shouldn't exist. Minting errors happen all the time, tiny misalignments, double strikes, or weak impressions. But this one was on another level. A partial strike that left only part of the coin's design visible, while the rest remained untouched, is incredibly difficult to produce. It takes a perfect storm of timing, pressure, and machine error. And the fact that it made it through quality control, escaped into circulation, and survived in excellent condition? That's practically a miracle. Now, what makes this coin even more fascinating is how few of them exist. Only a handful of confirmed examples of the 1990 D1 dime error have ever been authenticated by major grading services like PCGS and NGC. Most were found completely by accident, in pocket change, in coin rolls, or sitting in old collections where no one realized what they had. For years, collectors dismissed these pieces as damaged or misstruck junk. It wasn't until professional graders examined them closely that the truth came out: these weren't damaged coins at all, but genuine Denver Mint errors, officially recognized and certified as authentic. Each coin tells its own story through its strike. Some show a ghostly outline of Roosevelt's head on one side and the clear, 1 dime lettering on the other, while others appear almost blank, with only faint edges of the design visible. No two are exactly alike, which makes every example completely unique, a one-of-one piece of U.S. mint history. That individuality is what gives this coin such powerful appeal. Every collector dreams of owning something no one else has, and this dime delivers exactly that. Condition, as always, plays a huge role in determining value. Since these coins were errors, many of them were mishandled, tossed aside, or even considered defective and discarded. Finding one that's been preserved in mint state, with no scratches, dents, or heavy wear, is incredibly rare. And when a coin like that shows up, collectors go wild for it. A perfect or near-perfect 1990 D1 dime error in pristine condition is the dream, and it's the kind of dream that can pay off big. When one of these remarkable dimes appeared at auction, it turned the coin world upside down. Experts and investors lined up to see it, fascinated by how a mistake that slipped through the mint's strictest procedures could become a piece of American numismatic legend. The bidding started modestly, but as soon as the rarity sank in, the numbers began to soar. By the time the gavel hit, the coin had reached a price that stunned everyone in the room. What's truly amazing is how this small piece of metal, something that almost never made it past the factory floor, ended up rewriting what collectors thought possible for modern U.S. coins. It's not ancient gold or historic silver, it's a simple modern dime that turned a production flaw into a fortune. It's a reminder that sometimes, the tiniest errors create the biggest stories. So, if you ever come across a dime that doesn't look quite right, one that seems off-center, faint, or missing details, don't ignore it. Take a second look. That odd little coin could be one of these ultra-rare minting mistakes. It might look strange, but sometimes, strange is valuable. And you never know, your next pocketful of change might hold a life-changing surprise. Each time a new example of this coin surfaces, it draws headlines. Collectors know they're looking at a piece of minting mystery, the kind of find that can make a lifetime of searching worth it. Because you never know when that unassuming dime in your change jar could turn out to be something extraordinary. And that extraordinary find, the 1990 D1 dime error coin, has been valued at an incredible $65,000. Up next, we're heading into the late 90s, a time when pocket change looked perfectly ordinary, and nobody expected a small dime from Philadelphia to turn heads. But the 1997 Roosevelt dime is here to prove that appearances can be deceiving. Because hidden among millions of coins from that year is one tiny piece of metal that has rewritten what collectors thought possible. It all started with what looked like a normal coin. The P mint mark on the right side of Roosevelt's neck marked it as coming from the Philadelphia Mint, the nation's busiest facility for coin production. In 1997, billions of coins poured out of those presses, each one meant to be identical. But one dime, or perhaps just a handful of them, came out different. Not different in color or design, but in something much subtler, something that no one would notice until years later, under the sharp eyes of collectors who live for small miracles. You see, in coin collecting, it's not always about what you can see right away. Sometimes, the most valuable coins look perfectly ordinary, until you hold them under the light, tilt them just right, and realize the strike, the texture, or the details just don't match the rest. That's exactly what makes the 1997 P dime so special. It's a coin that looks standard on the surface but hides its rarity deep in its creation. Experts believe this dime was struck using a misaligned die, a subtle minting error that caused a sharp yet slightly off-center impression. The result was a coin with razor-sharp details in some areas and faint or missing design elements in others. To an untrained eye, it's easy to overlook. But to those who know what to look for, that unique strike pattern is like a fingerprint, a signature of rarity that sets it apart from every other dime minted that year. What's even more intriguing is the quality of this coin. Unlike most errors, which show rough edges or heavy scratches from the minting process, the known 1997 P rarity was found in near-perfect condition. Brilliant luster, clean fields, and minimal marks, a condition so exceptional that even professional graders were impressed. It's not just a rare minting mistake, it's a rare minting mistake that survived untouched for decades. No one knows exactly how this dime escaped into the wild. Maybe it slipped out of a fresh roll, maybe it was saved by someone who noticed it looked a little different, or maybe it simply got lucky, passing through hands quietly until a collector finally spotted it for what it was. However it happened, that single discovery turned an everyday coin into one of the most talked about modern dimes in the world of numismatics. What really sets this find apart is how understated it is. There's no missing mint mark, no doubled lettering, no dramatic visual error. It's subtle, almost too subtle. But that's what makes it so fascinating. It reminds us that not all treasures scream for attention. Some whisper. And that whisper was enough to get collectors chasing rolls of 1997 dimes, hoping lightning would strike twice. When the first verified 1997 P rarity was submitted to a grading service, experts were stunned. The die alignment, the flawless surfaces, the striking detail, everything pointed to an extraordinary minting anomaly. After authentication, it was certified at an extremely high mint state grade, placing it in elite company. Only a few such examples are believed to exist, and each one has become a prize for serious collectors. What's most surprising about this coin isn't just the error itself, it's how perfectly it captures the blend of luck and precision that defines coin collecting. The Philadelphia Mint had some of the most advanced technology in 1997, yet even with all that precision, a single imperfection found its way through. It's a reminder that no matter how efficient the system, there's always room for something unexpected, something rare enough to change everything. For collectors, the 1997 P dime represents the thrill of the hunt. It's the idea that even in the most common places, in loose change, in a jar on the shelf, or in a forgotten roll from the bank, something extraordinary might be hiding. And that belief keeps the excitement alive. Every time someone picks up a dime from 1997, they can't help but wonder, could this be the one? Stories like these spread fast in the coin world. Once news broke about the discovery, the hunt was on. Collectors everywhere began checking their coins, studying mint marks, inspecting strike details under magnifiers, hoping to catch the same lightning. And that's the magic of it, how one little coin can spark a nationwide search, turning an ordinary year into a year of legends. Now, when you think of rare coins, you might imagine pieces from the 1800s or gold coins from the frontier days. But the truth is, rarity doesn't care about age, it cares about survival and perfection. And that's exactly what the 1997 P dime has. A flawless survivor, born from error, discovered by chance, and now forever etched into numismatic history. And here's the part everyone's been waiting for, the number that puts this story into perspective. When this extraordinary dime hit the auction block, the bidding war was intense. Every collector in the room knew they were staring at something special. When the final bid was called, silence filled the room, followed by a wave of applause. The coin had just sold for a staggering $53,000. So, the next time you see a dime with a tiny P on it, don't be too quick to spend it. Tilt it under the light, take a closer look, and who knows, you might just be holding the next $53,000 treasure. Moving on to the last coin of today's finds, the 2013 D Roosevelt dime. Now, this one might surprise you because it's not decades old or made of silver, but even modern coins can hold secrets. And this little 2013 dime from the Denver Mint has a few mysteries that make collectors stop and take a second look. You see, by 2013, coin production was incredibly advanced. Machines were faster, dies were more precise, and quality control was tighter than ever. So when an error coin slips through in modern times, it's a big deal. That's exactly what happened with some of these 2013 D dimes. A few were struck with strange imperfections, die chips, misaligned strikes, weak lettering, and even partial missing designs. To the casual eye, they might look like simple wear and tear, but to collectors, those small details can make all the difference. What's fascinating about the 2013 D error dimes is how subtle many of these mistakes are. Some show doubling around the date or lettering. Others have faint cracks in the die that left raised lines across the surface, almost like tiny veins running through the metal. And once in a while, you might even find a dime that looks slightly off-center, where the rim or parts of the design don't line up exactly as they should. Each one tells its own story of a split-second slip during production, a small accident frozen forever in metal. There have even been reports of dimes from this year showing partial missing clad layers, giving the coin a two-toned appearance, a bright silver on one side and a coppery tone peeking through on the other. These are extremely rare but incredibly exciting to find. They're like hidden fingerprints from the minting process, proving that even machines can have off days. Because these coins are so modern, most people overlook them. They spend them, drop them, or toss them into jars without thinking twice. But here's the thing, condition is everything. A clean, well-preserved 2013 D dime with a visible mint error can easily stand out in today's market. The sharper the details and the more distinct the flaw, the more likely it is to attract collector interest. Some collectors have even found examples with mirror-like proof surfaces or unusually strong strikes, possibly from fresh dies used early in production. Others have reported dimes with slight color variations or uneven finishes, which can also catch attention if authenticated. The challenge, of course, is spotting them before they disappear back into circulation. Because once they're spent and worn, those valuable traits become nearly impossible to see. Now, imagine the feeling of finding one. You're checking your pocket change, maybe without even thinking about it, and suddenly something looks just a little off. Maybe the D mint mark sits lower, or Roosevelt's profile looks faintly doubled. That moment of realization is pure excitement for collectors. It's the kind of discovery that reminds you why every coin deserves a second look. What makes this particular find even more interesting is how it bridges the gap between old and new collecting. Most people assume modern coins can't be valuable because they're too recent, too common, or too mass-produced. But the 2013 D dime challenges that idea completely. It shows that even in our high-tech minting era, true rarity can still slip through the cracks, literally and figuratively. Some experts believe there may be more undiscovered varieties of this coin still out there. They could be sitting in drawers, in bank rolls, or in pocket change waiting to be noticed. Every new find helps expand our understanding of how these errors happened and how many might exist. And that's the thrill, you could be the next person to uncover one. So, if you ever come across a 2013 dime with a D mint mark, take a closer look. Tilt it under the light, check the edges, and study the fine print. Does the torch on the back look perfectly centered? Are there small raised marks or odd textures? Maybe a letter looks slightly thicker or thinner than it should. Those tiny clues could mean the difference between an ordinary coin and a rare find. The truth is, not every error dime from 2013 will make headlines, but that's part of the adventure. You never know which one might turn out to be the standout piece that collectors are quietly hunting for. With so few confirmed examples, every discovery adds a new chapter to this coin story and keeps the excitement of collecting alive. It's a great reminder that valuable coins aren't always old or famous, sometimes they're the ones we see every day, hiding right in our change. So before you spend that shiny dime, pause for a moment. Look at it closely. Because the 2013 D Roosevelt dime might not look special at first glance, but its rare errors, its condition, and its story could make it a coin well worth holding onto. And with that, we close today's lineup, for incredible dimes, each with its own unique story. From classic rarities to modern mysteries, they all remind us of one thing: treasure isn't always buried deep underground, sometimes, it's sitting right there in your pocket. So check your change carefully, because your next ordinary coin could be something truly extraordinary. Thank you so much for joining me on today's coin adventure. If you enjoyed discovering these rare dimes, don't forget to hit that like button, it really helps the channel. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on future finds and hidden treasures. I'd love to hear from you, too. Comment below if you've ever found a coin that surprised you, or if you have any questions about these rare dimes. And if you know someone who loves coins or collecting, share this video with them so they can join the hunt. Your support means the world and keeps this community of collectors growing. Thanks again for watching, and remember, the next extraordinary coin could be sitting in your pocket right now.